This podcast provides a platform for our guests to share their experiences and inspire our listeners to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams. As you listen, we invite you to explore how these concepts apply to your own story. You know what to do. Be great and be grateful. We're mic'd up with Mike DiCioccio. Brace yourself for a value-packed episode on the single most important aspect of business, sales. I'm bringing you the perfect guest with a proven track record to help you maximize your revenue and profits. They have built, mentored, and led teams managing over $200 million in annual revenue, as well as aggressively growing new markets. If there is a black belt for mastering the sales process, presentation, and a winning proposal, I got him on my show today. They've earned it. Welcome to the show, President of Western New York Sales Solutions, and my friend, Tony Watson.
Hi, Mike. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Hey, we've been looking forward to this for a long time, and we're actually making it happen right now. Honored to have you, and you're going to bring a ton of value to our listeners.
I'm very excited about being here, Mike. This is something we talked about for a while, so it's going to be great to talk to you.
And here's the thing. Most of the people tuning in, the audience could be a lot of entrepreneurs, right? So my show mission, as I mentioned in the top, is to inspire people to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams. It doesn't have to be business, but really anything in life ends up coming down to sales, right? So one of my favorite entrepreneurs who got me interested and excited is a guy named Grant Cardone. You know Grant, right?
Absolutely.
And, sell or be sold. So it could be as easily as, you got a group of friends that want to go out to a movie, right? And you need to kind of sell them on which one you want to go see, and not in a manipulative way, but in a way of excitement and value, right? So when I think of sales, I don't only think of like, I need to be a sales rep selling a product right now. It's just more so positioning and getting yourself through that process. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? The way I've always thought about it in my entire life is I feel like everything we do is sales. It is, we're always selling something, whether it's getting people to be part of your ski club or, selling flowers, whatever it might be, and it really doesn't matter. That's, I think, a great misconception of sales is sales is sales, right? It's a process. And, it really doesn't matter what you're selling, but it is the process that you go through that does it. And that's the beauty of sales. So once you get it, I think that you can put it to multiple different levels.
Yeah. Something I use as an analogy a lot on the show. Hopefully my listeners aren't sick of hearing me, but sports analogies. I feel like sports analogies and sales really connect a lot, because when you break it down, it's like you have your playbook, right? It's like your sales game plan. Some people have a script. I personally don't enjoy reading a script too closely, but having it as more of the game plan, right? So when you go to the line of scrimmage, we'll talk Josh Allen because we're here in Buffalo. He goes to the line of scrimmage. He wants to look off the linebacker and do something different because he studied it so well. He can do that. But in the beginning, just like a rookie quarterback, they're going to pull back your playbook, make sure that you're doing it black and white, right? And then as you kind of learn and develop and get your feet wet and kind of get beat up a little bit, then you can start to make those adjustments, right? So here's absolutely. What I want to do. I want to get people to know who you are a little bit.
Sure.
And the way I'm going to do that is I want you to start, tell your story from the beginning here. When did you realize personally that you did have a unique gift in sales, and then that light bulb went off? If you can highlight the progression from your first sales gig to where you are today.
Sure. It's great. And it's a good start. I didn't know we were going to go here, but this is great. So I started off out of college. I went to work at Disney, and which was such an amazing start to a career, because here's what they taught you. They taught you all about that customer experience and how you service that customer better than anything else. They wanted you to look and feel a certain way. You had to be presentable because they were looking at no earrings, no tattoos, no visible stuff like that. That's what it was back then. But what it did is showed me the real value of what it's like to treat a customer well. And they empowered us, even me, just out of college making, it wasn't a high paying job, but how it empowered us to actually make that customer experience. That's what I loved about working for Disney. Mm-hmm. So if you walked in and you realized these people who come to Disney spend and work their entire 51 weeks a year to get 1 week, and they chose to spend it with you, your job is to make it special for them, right? And that's what they taught you at Disney. And I took that with me in my entire career because I really loved that whole concept. You know, they come out, and if you found and you saw a customer and they asked you, where's the restaurant? You don't just say it's down the corner to the right. You walk them there. You have a conversation with them. And really, that's just what started me off in sales at Disney. And I realized at that point, not only I felt that I was very good at it, but I actually got to, I love the customer aspect and the customer feel from it. So
Yeah.
that's really where I started off in sales.
Right. I mean, without customers, right, we don't have anything in business. And it's not just that. It's not like, oh, we need them to make money. It's the customer experience, the pride in your company, the the vision you have for ideally how an operation is going to run, and then how do you execute that? And something I realized early on, I thought, when you start a business, that everyone else that gets involved is going to have that same level of excitement. So it's hard to really do that, but a really good company has it where they understand the processes and why they're important, and not just told, I need you to do this, put a smile on your face and go run and do this. That's one way of telling them. But then having a meeting where you understand, like, these are our core values. This is
Right.
why we do what we do. And look at the happiness. Here's a family that's having the best week of their life. Right? Like, they've been planning this for 3 years and they're here. Let's make them remember every second of this trip here and just think of how magical that literally is. So I love that you went there with Disney, but your career spans over 25 years. You've built an impressive portfolio and you've represented and consulted large companies yourself. Share some of those experiences with us as well.
Well, so I'll kind of get into a little bit of the reason why I did this. I've been working for large organizations and running national sales, for 25 years, which has been an excellent run. I moved to Western New York 14 years ago this month. So very happy to be here. I moved here from Laguna Beach, California. I get that question all the time. It's like, oh my gosh, you did that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been the best move.
Is what you did.
It's been the best move for us, though, and our family, because really what we've got here is a great group of friends, a very positive experience for our children, where they grow up in Western New York and they have the Western New York values, which I really love and I'm very proud of to be here for as long as we have. And what I did is when I've come here, it was, I worked with a couple of large organizations here, but I also was a national organization. All the companies I've run involved have been national. And so I would travel. I would leave on Monday morning, usually the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning flight, fly to a destination, and I'd usually be there until Thursday night. Friday morning is when I would come home. And that was really my system the entire time I was here. So it was great. Came home, we went out to a nice dinner and figured out a little bit about Western New York, and then, had fun with our friends on the weekends, right? And I would never drive because I didn't know anything about Buffalo, and I didn't know how to get around here or where the greatest places were. So my friends would pick me up and say, listen, I'm driving, we're going out. Yes. So I always had just such a great time here, right? And we've had the skiing and all the things that we do outside, the golfing, the skiing, the recreation in Western New York has been fantastic. Yeah. So, when I came here and when I decided that, hey, listen, one of the things that really did it for me is about 3.5 years ago, my wife came up and she's like, listen, you're gone all the time. You gotta make some changes. Listen, I'll give you about six months is what she said to me. And she's like, listen, I need 6 months, kind of figure this out, really figure out what you want to do, because it's tough. It's tough on the body. It's tough on everything when you're traveling that much. And the kicker for me was, and this is my why when I started WNY Sales Solutions, is my son. He was in 7th grade. He just made the modified football team, and he loves football, but he's a little guy, right? And he's very thin, and he's athletic, but at the time he was, he didn't think he was going to make the team, right? You got some really big kids on the team, and it's football. He doesn't necessarily have the most aggressive personality, but he's, he works harder than anyone I've seen. So I said, all right, go for football, try it. Well, he calls me up on the day and he walked. I missed the fact that he walked to the door and saw his name on the door. And I was like, and he called me, Dad, I made the team. I was so excited for him. And then I found out that every single game that he had was Wednesday night. All right. I missed every game. So every single game I was out of town. So that was very frustrating because I didn't get a chance to see him play. Except for the very last game of the year. I finally got a chance to meet it, and I was on a conference call the whole time. So that's when I kind of said, shame on me. Again, it was a conference call I couldn't get out of.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, you know what, it's time for me to kind of make a change.
Yeah.
And I found this wonderful company in Sales Xceleration, and they gave me the opportunity to be part of it. And I'm thankful for it every day. So.
I have learned that a lot of the reasons for us to make a drastic change, and it's a change for the better typically, is some pain points. I had, and thanks to you, my latest interview was PJ, and he's going to be on, I recorded that yesterday, and he said the same thing. The reason he came up with the idea for his service was a pain point because he's traveling a lot, and At Your Gate helps you get food on the spot at an airport, right at the gate. So you were sitting there on a conference call frustrated. You didn't want to be on that call. You wanted to watch your son in the one game the year that you had an opportunity, and that hurt you felt. And obviously your wife was upset with the situation as well. It all kind of compounded, and you had to make a decision, and it was the right one for you. But sometimes we have those really hard moments, those teachable moments that we can either let us derail us or make us better for it. And you took the right road on it,
Yeah, exactly. It's a hard road.
You're thinking I didn't have an option because she was going to clobber me with the frying pan, right?
Well, it was definitely the right road. I'll tell you, it's hard. It's hard starting a business from scratch, and you got to come from the right place, and for me personally, I realized that I could do a lot of great things in Western New York. I can help a lot of people with the experience that I have with all these big organizations. I can come to Western New York and help these small to medium-sized businesses grow. And that's a passion of mine. And it's just been, for me, doesn't even feel like work anymore. I get to help everybody and really, grow people's sales and make these owners and CEOs' dreams come true of what they really wanted to do and help them with their passion. So it's been wonderful for me.
I love it. We can talk a little bit about Western New York. I always like to sprinkle that in too, and how you got connected here and people made you feel at home. But what I want to do, the reason I want people tuning in right now is to get the Sales 101, roll up your sleeves, sharpen your pencil, get out your brand new Pilot G207 here, whatever this thing is I got. I love these gel pens. I'm ready to take some notes. So let's talk Sales 101, right? The actual sales process. So the way I always had broken it down, I want you to add to this if you feel I'm missing any elements, but there's discovery, right? Learning about your client, then the presentation, presenting your product or service. You have your proposal, the close, when you're tying it all together, back to those hot buttons from the discovery questions. Then you have thank you and follow-up, right? And asking for referrals. Did I miss anything there?
Well, I mean, the first stage, and that's the first stage, which is, lead generation or recruiting, right? So it's before they get there, right? How do they get there? So, it's the cold calling aspect of it, so how do they become someone that you talk to, right? That's very, very important, and that is one of the sales person's biggest part of their job is to take them from an unknown, whatever that means, cold call or a card that you met at a trade show, and bring them into someone you can actually have a conversation with, and that would make them into a prospect. Okay. And, everyone, the most important part of a sales process is having your sales process, something that's very repeatable, something that is yours, that you can actually move through the cycle in every step of the way. And that is what a sales process is all about. And it has to be able to be repeatable so you can find out if you lost a sale, where in the sales process did you lose it? So that you can identify, hey, what can I do better here? Did I not ask enough questions in discovery? Extremely important before you go to proposal, that you're ready and you are making sure that you have the right questions asked and answered and written down, right? So you know exactly what you're gonna get in proposal before you get into before you go to proposal, in discovery. So those are very, very key to you. So what I see a lot of people doing is go straight to the close,
Hmm.
and they're not ready yet.
Sure. Yeah, and I like that you mentioned lead generation too, and something I just want to make clear is sales and marketing, although a lot of times those are people wearing the same hats and they need to be like holding hands in an organization, they are very different things, right? So the marketing team needs to get the attention of your target avatar, your client avatar. So who do we want to sell our products to, and who do we feel, not who we want, but who is this designed for and who's going to actually purchase it, supply and demand situation. And then once we know that, how do we captivate them? How do we get them interested? And now we have a sales rep. That could be a live person on the phone. It could be a retail environment where someone comes in and you have professional salespeople, or it could be a number of things. Consulting, right? Now you have someone in front of you, you can actually help out. So then you do those discovery questions, which essentially is ammunition, right? And I want this to be more of a workshop conversation here too. So
Sure.
when people are listening, that this is not just talking at them, but I want them to think about their own business. So asking those questions, so you have ammunition later, hot buttons I call it, that you can tie the product back to. Hey, I'm not just going to tell you everything I can tell you about these products, especially if you have a lot of them, because their eyes are going to roll in the back of their head. But what did I just learn about them? Now I can speak to these features and benefits. So then I can present a solution to the reason that they even were here, right?
Correct.
And interested. Make it clear, and everybody that you talk to is different. So you have to make sure you're aware of, are you speaking to them in the way that they're expecting to be talked to? Right? I didn't even think we'd go there, but maybe we can talk about the platinum role. I'll do that later. But if you have a couple that maybe takes a little bit of time to develop and understand what you're talking about, you don't want to go too fast. You're going to lose them.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, I had someone I was speaking to yesterday. It was a great conversation, and we were going through her sales process, right? And I said, all right, so tell me about how you're doing it and what you're doing. She's an entrepreneur as well. And I said, so let's go through the exact process of how you do it. And we were detailing, and she's missing some very key steps. And I gave her some of the examples in which, that I've seen work. When you go into the discovery phase, right, you need to go into with everything you're looking for. Now, before we jump into that, one thing I wanted to make clear too is when you were talking about sales and marketing, everyone in your organization needs to be on the same page, right? So everybody, and this is key to an organization, is making sure you have a great sales story, right? So that is what everybody needs to know is what is the sales story of your organization? What makes you unique? What values do you add? You add, because when we're talking to our customers, we're not pitching them, I've got the greatest widget and this is how great I am and this is what it is. This is what the issue is because I've heard about it from you. You've told me what my issues are, and this is how I will be able to help you with a solution to make your solution go away or fix it or make you better, right? So that is part of the whole process is the sales story. But going back to discovery aspect of it, making sure that you really understand your customer and your customer's pain points and needs before you go to what I'll call as proposal. Proposal could mean a lot of different things. Sure. Because I've seen people come out and say, all right, and they didn't answer all the questions. And I actually, to the point where with companies I work with, I put those questions directly in their CRM system. And then they make sure they're answered before they can go into the next phase, which is proposal. Because a lot of people will spend hours and hours working on a proposal, but you really didn't find the real answer or what the solution for your customer is. And then you've put this huge proposal out for them, and you spent hours and hours and wasted a lot of time, and you're not there.
Guilty.
Yeah, all of us are, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, you're design. I spent time designing presentations that have taken me hours, and then maybe a simple question leading up to it could have solved whether or not they needed to see that or not. Something I just thought of too. Grant makes me think of this as well, like the proposal being presented too soon or too late. Right. So you were talking about it too soon, but how many times is it presented too late where they may be ready to purchase and all you have to do is say, hey, are you looking, when can we get this to you? Like I worked in the Sleep Number was a great company I worked for. And many times people would be ready and I just had to simply ask them, hey, let's get your delivery started. What's a good date for us to get this to you? Was a great question to close without saying, are you buying this from me? Like, hey, when are you looking to have this delivered? Was always a nice question for me to get to the proposal. Then I knew where we were, right? I can kind of like direct myself back to where we need to go. But I had to print a proposal, not had to, of course you need to print a proposal every single time before I could get a sale. So I always told my team, if someone walked on them, right, they just walked out, what happened there? And the conversation they never presented a proposal, right? Like every single time I made a sale, I had to print it and have them sign it. So I knew there's a 0% chance if they didn't even see a proposal, how are they going to purchase from me? So everybody I talked to, that wasn't just like I walked in and asked a question and walked out of the store. Someone that I did a full presentation to got a proposal from me. Whether or not they walked home with it and I had to do a lot of follow-up to get them back in the store or not is a different story. But I had a 100% better chance of actually closing a deal than someone who was like, I just talked to them through it, and they didn't actually have the proposal on the table.
You have to ask for the order. And here's the other thing. It's depending on the company, right? So if you're a telephone rep, well, the proposal might be a little bit different, right? Sure. It might be what have you. But if you're a face-to-face rep, it really, going out there and presenting that proposal in front of them and understanding, hey, listen, this is the discovery questions I asked you, and this is the solution that I've come up with, and this is why I will fix the issues, and this is how I will make your life better. And when you're actually presenting it in front of them with the proposal is a better way to do it. What I've seen a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of people fail, is they'll say, a customer, it's almost to the point where we've done this great presentation as salespeople. We all think we just did fantastic. Right? I just crushed that. They asked for a proposal. They're so happy. Chances are they didn't know what you were selling, or you might not have been on the same page because you don't know, right? The word no for a customer is the hardest thing they have to say. I actually try to get them to say no sometimes. Just because I want to know before I'm going to waste all my time.
Where are we?
So yeah, so I'll ask that question. How are you feeling? Do you understand what we're going to do? Do you understand the proposal? So that I've asked the question, are we in the proposal stage? Are we ready for it? Are you ready for a proposal? And when they say it that way, I'm not sending it via email on this particular, depending on your customer, I'm not sending it via email. I'm sending it, I'm walking and sitting down with you and say, all right, our next meeting is going to be next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Does that look good for you? Fantastic. I'll come back here with my proposal so we can do it face to face, because depending on your sales cycle, if it's a long sales cycle, you can actually go through step by step and show what you're going to deliver, and they can say to themselves, all right, I see the value and how much it costs, right? So if it's just a price point, well then, it is what it is. That's what you're selling. But if you're going in there, you're adding value, you want to make sure you get the most out of your opportunity. You need to make sure that they understand what they're getting out of it as well.
Yeah. And ask, again, it's all about asking questions, not to ask questions, but to learn where they're at, what they need to, maybe there is a deficit of information. And so a great question that I feel could solve that is asking them, do you have enough information to make an educated decision? Simple question. Like, did you hear enough today? Are you ready to do this? Like, based on what we talked about. And then that allows the customer to say, well, let's say it's a car, right? Well, they have a ton of questions about the kind of wheels, right? I don't know much about cars, but like the materials. Well, we didn't even get there yet. So all of a sudden you realize there was one thing, big concern for them that you didn't think they were that, decisive about. Cool. Now we know. Now you can talk about the different materials they need to hear about. And then at that point, ask them again. Okay, cool. Are we good to go? Are we good off of that information? Are we good to move forward?
For sure.
Just to be clear, like not if you believe in what you're actually selling, you want them to know everything about it, but doesn't mean you tell them every single thing just to hear yourself talk. Like, ask them what's important to them and then fill in the hole, right?
Absolutely. That's discovery. For
yeah,
sure.
and then move into the close phase, where if you have all the information, you came in, you needed this, I provided the solution, let's connect the dots. That's all really sales comes to, is you're providing a product or service that solves somebody's need. And you just have to, it's a transfer of typically money. It's a transfer of money. They give you this and you provide this. And like when you believe in what you're selling, you feel so good about that process. People are afraid of it, I think.
Yeah, a lot of the times what you're doing as salespeople now is really a transfer of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Is explaining to them the benefits of your product. But the buyers now are so sophisticated. There's a lot of information at their fingertips. They can do a lot of research to it. So it still comes down to who they're buying from. Do they trust who they're buying from? Are you providing the value to them that they want? It's still a very relationship business, as far as if you got the right product, you got the right price, it's still the person's.
Now, I know you focus a lot on KPIs, and every sales organization I've ever been involved with, it's really important to have KPIs listed out, and typically everyone can see them. Again, it's similar to sports. It's how many sales you have, how many phone calls you made. It kind of goes, it starts that way, like calls, appointments, proposals, sales, right? And something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And again, it's kind of like sports. How many passes did you make? How many catches? How many touchdowns? How many victories? So talk about KPIs. How important are they? And then what's your recommendation for like behind the strategy for goal setting?
So KPIs, accountability in a sales organization is everything, right? So in sales, our job's never done. Okay, it's always about where do you come from? What is next for us? A new month is starting, a new year is starting, a new quarter is starting. We are never finished, right? So what's important to us is how do we know if we're doing a good job? Mm-hmm. How do you keep your sales reps happy? Because right now the hardest job in all of the companies that we're working for is making sure hiring new talent, bringing new talent on is hard, right? And keeping the ones that you have, right? So are the good ones that you have. Right. That's also important. And you do that by holding them accountable. Salespeople want to know that they're doing well. We are an emotional type of person. We put a lot of passion into what we do when we're selling. Mm-hmm. And we also want to make sure that we are doing a great job. And sometimes it's not always about the numbers. Sometimes it's about how many calls am I making? Am I making 100 calls a day? Am I making 5 hours on the phone? Am I making 5 appointments a week? But if you have those in place, your KPIs, whatever they may be, are you getting monthly recurring revenue, whatever the case, whatever you decide is your KPIs and whatever is the motivator for your sales team. Sure. Right? Those are the most important things that you do to keep people accountable. So they can show them on when you're in your sales meeting at the same time every week, you have your entire sales team in there. Everyone can look up there and say, all right, here is what I'm doing compared to my peers, because we are competitive people, right? We want to be able to show that we're the top of the mark. And when we're at a sales meeting, I want to show not only do I have the highest revenue number, but I also want to make sure that I have the highest, the most amount of leads in my pipeline or whatever the KPI may be, right? But I also want it to be very specific, very measurable, very attainable. Those are very important pieces to a KPI, so that it's you look at that and you say, okay, this is something that I can do. We're tracking it every week and we're going through so that everybody understands and sees the goal and works for it, right? And that keeps them accountable.
Yeah, accountability, and you said measurement. I mean, and if anyone's not familiar with KPIs, it's key performance indicators. In a business. So it's the measurement of your activity. And it always comes down to the conversation activity. There is no guarantee. You could talk to 100 people, get 10 appointments and close 3 of those. So then, I need for every 100 phone calls, I can get 3 sales, right? So you wouldn't know that if you didn't have measurement, right?
Right.
And then you can go based off of that. I want to sell 20 policies a month, 20 product XYZ a month. Now you start to understand that. And everyone's ability is different. So someone might be able to get 3 sales off of 15 appointments or 15 phone calls, which would be crazy. Then they're a superstar, right? Everybody's Absolutely. Different. So you need to really understand your own KPI. And a really good manager would understand they have different players on the team. They're going to have Hall of Famers. They got rookies in there. If they just told everyone 100 phone calls and you're going to get 3%, that's not accurate because everybody's ability is different. So how do you get them to not only continue to work hard, but also improve their skills? Would you agree with that?
Oh, for sure. And and that comes to coaching as well, and that's really management. And if you think about the things that you do, there's a distinct difference between the best sales leader and the best salesperson. And that is something that, and it's something that I work hard for, because I definitely have transferred from, at one point, all great sales leaders were sales reps at a time. But what I always saw is that sales rep was a great sales rep on Friday, came to work on Monday. Now they're expected to be a sales leader, and it's a very, very different job. It is, you can be selfish, you can be greedy, you can be, as a salesperson, you can take your time and say, block it out. Say, I'm not taking phone calls between these hours, because I'm going to be prospecting at this time. As a sales leader, you can't do that. You have to be open. You have to be able to help your sales team. You are not the person directing and driving all the revenue anymore. Mm-hmm. You are actually going out and helping them drive the revenue. So you have to play a very, very different role. Mm-hmm. Your time, you still manage your time, because it's important. Time is all we have. But at the same time, you have to be able to go out there and coach up the right people, make sure that their skills, your skills that you had as a great salesperson, are transferable, so that you're making your team better, because it's not a me sport anymore, it's an us sport.
Right. I totally agree that the attributes of a great sales leader are not always that they need to know sales at a high level. Let's not get that wrong, right? That is definitely a qualifier. But totally, the way that it's a people person job at that point, where they need to, in a coaching setting, understand talk about hot buttons again, right? Now, yep. They're learning about their team and how they can actually get them to improve on a daily basis, opposed to a sales rep really needs to understand the process, know their metrics, know what they need to do on a presentation, which is product knowledge. And that constantly changes with most organizations. So you got to be in the know with your product and your competitors. And then you need to execute. So you can be a phenomenal, again, sorry to do this, but phenomenal football player on the field does not mean you're going to be great at calling the X and O's. And not only that, getting your people, that you have a lot of personalities on a sales team, as you would in a sports team. How do you manage all of those personalities? A great leader has a lot on their plate, opposed to simply executing, like we said, discovery, presentation, proposal, closing, and referrals, and follow-up. So there's totally two different things going on there.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And it's great. So I get to work with a lot of great sales leaders, and that's one of my favorite things to do, because we sit down and you see some of it. It's very easy for us to walk in, and as a leader, and you see a sales rep struggling in a meeting, right, to take it over, because I know all the answers, right? I've been here. I've seen I can see where this is going and where you're missing the customers and the questions. This is an opportunity to train, to coach your sales rep. If you believe in this person and they have the talent, this is your opportunity to coach them up and take that as a great opportunity as a sales leader to bring the skills, because you can't be with them all the time. I would suggest, I think that a lot of the times we're as sales leaders, we're overburdened, and we're not out in the field as much as we should be, and we need to be out there more. I will tell you that I suggest that with everyone, to go out there so you hear from your customer. Yeah. Your customer is the person where you're going to find your knowledge from. The voice of the customer is extremely important. And if you're not out there as a leader, finding out if your sales rep is doing a great time, and also understanding what the customer likes about you and why they do business with you, it's a missed opportunity. So that's why I try to get out in the field as much as possible.
Yeah, they learn about their customer. They also learn about their sales rep. And then if it's a good or bad situation, and anywhere in between, then you can take that knowledge and apply it to other reps as well. So like if there's a superstar that's asking one question that maybe you never thought about asking it that way, and it's really working and it's beneficial to the customer and gets sales, you just learn that, and now you can pass it on and kind of share, hey, we learned something, right?
Right.
New play in the playbook. Hey, you wouldn't have got there if you didn't go out and evaluate. So you have to be evaluating. Talk about, I think this is one of the most beneficial things we can say on the show here, but what's your opinion on the best habits that a salesperson can implement to drive their results? Best habit that they can employ?
Are you talking about the sales rep? The sales rep in
Sales rep.
particular, yeah, it's managing your time. All right, that's number one. It is what we have is making sure that you're blocking out time to go and find new customers, right? So if you're a hunter out there, you have to go out there and say, I am going to, you need your goals, right? So you have to have a plan, okay, a sales plan. So your leader should have a plan and your sales rep should have a plan. And in the plan, they're going to tell you what they're going to do for your 90-day goals and your 6-month goals and your 1-year goals. And then we have to hold them accountable as leaders, the sales rep. But the sales rep needs to go out there and say, all right, during this time, I'm going to block out 2 hours every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and this is where I'm going to make all my prospecting calls for the week so that I can actually hit my goals. Right. So time value and time management is what I see, because it's not always easy. We always have our most energy at the beginning of a day. Right. So I try to get my sales reps to say, all right, block out your mornings, because that's when you're going to go out and do the prospecting. And that's when you're going to go do the stuff that is easy to forget about. Right. Because it's so easy to manage accounts and just do that. But get new business development is the key to everything we do. So I try to do that up front, make sure that we know what that plan is about new business development so that I can increase my pipeline, right, to increase my results, right? So it's really, because as a manager, I'm looking at results, right? That's the most important thing to me. So I've got the results. Let me see what we're doing. And if we don't have the results, then I'm looking at opportunities and pipeline and saying, okay, all right, well, we don't have the results, but all the activity that you're doing is, we have a lot of opportunity here in our pipeline. And if it's not there, then I have to go down and say, all right, are we doing the right things to actually get us to the number of opportunities that we have to get the results we want, right? So it's a step process. So activity is number one, right?
Yeah.
'Cause it's a numbers game. No matter what business you're in, we have to be in front of that customer as many times as we can.
Right. And, it's good that you need someone to monitor. It's accountability. But what I like about that you mentioned is doing it first thing in the morning. Sales activity, right? A lot of times, even for sales reps, because of that rejection, even the best of the best of the best, right? You pick up the phone and you're making either a cold call or going in for a close or something. You have a higher percent chance of hearing no than yes. I don't care almost in anything you do, right? When it comes down to the sales game. So a lot of people kind of hesitate to do it. They push it off. They'll do some other things in the morning, check emails, do all this other stuff. Go out and do the thing that's most difficult for you to do. Maybe you're not looking forward to it. It's the cold calls first or whatever.
Sure.
Get beat up for the first hour of the day. And then guess what? If you get a couple positive stories that come out of it, you're going to feel good by 10 o'clock. Instead of at 10, maybe now you're thinking about your first call and now it's noon, right? And you have a reason you still didn't make your first phone call. It's just not a good recipe there. So I'm glad you pointed
Absolutely.
that out.
And at the end of the day, you say, well, I'm going to make my calls at 4 to 5. Well, guess what? A proposal is going to come in, or you have to write something, or what, you're going to make another excuse to get out of it. So, I always like to try to do that stuff earlier out in my day, because I know that that's the most important part to feed my funnel.
Sets the tone, right? Hey, I just did something I didn't want to do and I did it and I got some results. And even if you didn't get any yeses or appointments, you did it. Like it's telling yourself, you're kind of building up your self-confidence. Like I said, I was going to do this. I did it. And
success breeds
going
success.
to the gym. I said I was going to go to the gym. I went to the gym. Now I don't frequent that place as much as I'd like to, but I know on the days that I have gone in the past, I always do feel better on the way out of there. Right. Because I did it. I held myself accountable and I went. And, I think that's why people are doing the selfies in the gym thing. It's like crazy. I don't know that there's so much showing off, but in their head, they're telling themselves, I wanted to be here and I'm here. Hey, I celebrate that, right? Go post
Accountability.
If you post it, because the day that they don't have anything to post, they're going to feel a tension inside. Damn, I didn't make it to the gym today. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I think that's what it is. It's a self-accountability tool. So I love that. So best habits, get those calls in early every day. Sales turnover, that seems to be common, right? Especially in a performance-based, high commission setting. What are some ways that a business can improve their employee retention?
Oh, that's great. And this goes back to the same thing. So you when I say accountability, making sure that your employees have expectations and you have them set out written for them so they understand exactly what their job roles are, right?
Mhm.
That is so key. What are you as a manager expecting of your employee, right? So if they aren't, doing what you expect them to do, then you can actually put them on a performance improvement plan,
Sure.
right? And that's when you're managing them to either get them to be better or get them to go out. But more importantly, to keep the person, you need to have clear goals and objectives and KPIs, or whatever you might call them, MBOs, whatever term works for you, but
Mhm.
in your organization, so that you can keep those salespeople on track, right? So they understand what the 30, 60, 90, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year goals are for them.
Mhm.
That's so key. And then the other aspect of it is, what does their future look like? I am really concerned. The best thing as a sales leader for me is I watch one of my salespeople go to a better role. Okay, so my job, I fully believe that my job is to bring you to the next level. That is either to take my job, or to take a job with another organization, or to take another position in the company. But if I've built you, coached you, helped you get there, right? I don't do the work for you. I help you do it, right? Then that is the most fulfilling thing for me, is I'm helping you reach your goals. And that's all goal setting. And every one of my salespeople have a sales plan of what they want to accomplish, both personally and professionally. And I look at that and I bring that into the meeting with them. And where are you on your goals?
Mhm.
And even the people that I mentor, same thing is, what are your goals and what are you looking to do? And I'm holding you to them. Right. And when we're in our one-on-one meetings, I'm asking you told me you're going to run that marathon. I didn't set that goal for running a marathon. You set that goal. So that's why I'm asking you about it. Right. You said you were going to do 5 lunch and learns. All right. I didn't set that. You told me, right? Your activity's down and you said you're going to do 5 lunch and learns and your revenue's not there. What are we doing about this? How are you going to fix that? So usually the next meeting I have, there's some activity around lunch and learns, right?
And a good competitor wants that. They don't, a competitor and someone that's striving for success and they really mean it. They want to know, okay, you know what? I did say I was going to do 5. I did 3. But help me out. Where can I get these 2 more? And then you're working together to solve for 2 more lunch and learn meetings, right? Maybe
Absolutely.
help them connect with a few people. And so here's what I want to do, because we're running a little bit well on time. I want to allow people to get to know you a little bit better as well. And one of the questions I always like to utilize, because most of the guests on my show and the audience members for my show are people that are doing a lot. It could be multiple businesses. It could be a full-time business plus a side hustle. It could be they're a leader on their in an organization like yourself, where you're doing a lot of traveling and your son's ball game is Wednesday night and you had to make a decision. So you are a perfect person to speak to this. So what is your mindset for a balanced life and enjoying time with your family?
Yeah,
How do you
so
do that even now?
yeah, that's great. I break my weeks up into 10 parts:
Mhm.
morning, night, morning, afternoon, morning, afternoon, morning, afternoon. So 10, that's kind of the way I look at it. So, when I'm working with clients, we usually break it down to, what time do we have? So I set the time around that. My number one priority is to be here for my family, right? That is number one for me, right? That's why I chose the life that I chose.
Right.
So yes, well, do I have to work in the evenings to get things done? Absolutely. Do I have to work on a Saturday and Sunday? I do that all the time, right? Because I have a passion for what I'm doing, so that's what I love it. But do I miss kids' games? No. Do I take if I get the opportunity, we're a big snowboarding family. Do I take them to the mountains on Saturday morning? Absolutely, I do. And do I get to go with them? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a work-life balance. I don't miss things, and I'll schedule my time around it. And that is, and that's the part of this that's really the most fulfilling for me is I also get to pick and choose which customers I work with.
Yeah.
Because it's
Good place to
sometimes,
be. You're not.
yeah, well, sometimes it's really important to say, hey, you're not ready for me yet. If you're not willing to make the changes that we're going to need to be successful, I'd rather wait 6 months, right, until you're ready, because it's not going to be a win for both of us. So I look at all of those factors, or we do a different type of engagement, where I'm a outsourced vice president of sales, where I'll come in and run your sales team for you. That's one aspect of it. In some cases, I wouldn't do that, and I would just say, all right, we're going to try something different, or maybe you just need a sales story, whatever the case may be. But I change my engagements depending on the customers and the customer's needs, and the needs for me too, right? So it's got to be a win-win. I want to make sure that every customer that I engage with, because it's a referral business, that we're helping each other.
You're doing the right thing. And sometimes not moving forward might be the right thing for someone at that time. If you're really being real about it, and you're not coming from a place of desperation, it's not the right fit, and you discover that, people will appreciate you pointing them, hey, this is actually a company I recommend that you're working with. We're not exactly the right fit yet. Here's why. I'll follow up with you. And you set up a game plan and expectations.
Well, it goes a lot to, Mike, what it talked about is discovery.
Yeah.
Right. In discovery, when I ask my questions and I ask all those, I find out what the real customer needs. Sometimes it's not sales. Mm-hmm. Most of the time it's sales. But sometimes it's marketing. Sometimes it's leadership. Mm-hmm. Right. Sometimes it's the wrong people in the wrong seats. Right. So sometimes it's not my expertise and I have to push them, into a different direction, but that's kind of what I do, right? Is making sure that I have the right solution for them, and they'll remember me for that.
They'll remember you, but they'll appreciate that you discovered it early on and you didn't lead them through a full presentation and proposal and weeks. And then all of a sudden at the end you go, hey, you're not the right fit for me. And they're like, why did you waste 2 weeks of my time? Right.
Right. Absolutely.
Let's go right back to that. So you came out from Laguna Beach to Orchard Park, right? Buffalo,
right?
Home of the Buffalo Bills, and you're embracing snow. You're on the slopes now. I love that, with your kids, and you're hand in hand with them, right? And your wife.
Absolutely, we're all out there. My son's on the freestyle team, and my daughter is actually an instructor now. So they've grown up here 14 years now. So they I think my son does something like 40 to 50 days a year on the slopes. He's getting really great. And my daughter's an instructor, and she is absolutely loves her job and loves being out there. And our family vacations are around skiing, and that's what I find is, they play lacrosse, they play football, they play tennis, but the fact is that that's our time. When you're on a chairlift with your kids, or you're on an hour drive with your kids to the mountain, every weekend, you get to spend a lot of quality time together. And I get to hear the stories, ask the questions, and I'm always in discovery, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always asking them, what's going on with your life? What's happening? And when they're on the chairlift, they can't hide from me. So I love it.
Good thing they love skiing, because otherwise they'd be like, Dad, are we doing this again?
Yeah. No, it got to the point where we started when they were 2, and both of them started when they were 2, and it was tough because it's cold. They weren't very good at it. Now it's, come on, Dad, hurry up. We got to get there first chair. And I love that.
Dragging you out of the house every Saturday morning, right? Waking you up.
They're packing their own bags now.
You just made me think of something too. Relationships and how important that is in business, obviously in life, with your kids, with your spouse, with friends, family, everybody. Relationships are really the core of what we're doing here on this planet, right? And in business, it's getting to know your customer, is building a relationship. So you got to be thinking about the long term of it, which is a long-term repeat customer referral base, but also that you're doing the right. If you have something you can provide for someone and it's over a span of years, why would you just want to sell them one thing today and slam the door on their face?
For sure.
Never is that the right thing to do. But so my point is building relationships. I have only 2 other questions, and then we'll get to wrap it up here. But talk about how important relationships are and what you're actually doing for businesses and how it all ties together.
Sure. For me, the greatest thing about what I've done here is I've built such strong relationships across Western New York, right? So my referral network, it took me a while to build, right? So it was, and it's always growing. It's always building, because that's how I work with customers. Customers find me. Either the customer has told someone else, hey, listen, Tony's done such a great job for me, and come, you got to talk to him about this. Or, the partners that I'm working with, whether they be marketing, whether they're speakers, what have you, they're the ones that refer me into customers. So it's me about their understanding what your business is, and understanding, know that I am the best solution for your company, and I'm going to provide the best solution for your company. So what I do is I'll look out there and say, these referral partners, they bring me in, and I will give them a solid assessment of whether I'm the right person or not. And my referral partner base is so strong that I can say, all right, you need an outsourced CEO, a CFO. No, you need to hire people first before we get it. So we're going to go, let me hook you up with these people. So that's what the referral network really is. And that's about the great thing with we're doing is I work with this referral network that's really, it's very wide and deep right now. And that's really what I build a lot of my time and effort on, and relationships on. So that's great, because Buffalo is such an amazing town.
Yeah.
That everyone's really eager to help. I've had so many people not really, hold anything back and introduce me to the right people all the time. It's fantastic, because I try to do at least 10 referral meetings a week, and that's not easy. It's with all the things you're going on. But it's kind of my method to success is to meet all the people that I can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your network is your net worth. I know that's said a lot, but it's so true. And again, I do love that about Western New York. People want to see other people doing well. Like when they connect you with Susie or Sam or Dave or whoever it might be, and then they do right by you, that person feels so good. And they're like, oh, good. I sent you to them. They delivered on it. Now, not only do they look good, but you feel good about the whole situation. And when you see them at the Christmas party, because as big as or as small as Buffalo is, it's there's still quite enough people here where you can build a big network. Then when you guys all come back together at that Christmas party, everyone's feeling great, high fives,
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. I want everyone to succeed. I mean that's what it is. Good people who work really hard, and they deliver quality value to the customer. Those are the kind of people I want to work with. So I keep those people really close.
Tony, if you can deliver one message to our audience to wrap this whole thing up, leaving them inspired to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams, what would that be?
For me, I think it's just living out your passion, right? Finding what really inspires you, what is exciting to make you wake up in the morning and do the hard work. That's what I would suggest, and that's not always easy to do. Sometimes you have to take a risk. Sometimes you have to be bold. Sometimes you have to be uncomfortable. It's not always easy, and not everybody can do it. But that's what I would suggest. It's take that passion, find out what it is, and then work really hard for it, because you have to put in the time, effort, energy to get where you want in life.
Yeah, it's that desire. Like when you're passionate about something, the desire you have to either get it or to get that thing to other people, and you feel so good about that. Yeah. When times are tough, if you have a challenge, right, that comes at you, and you can give me two people, one that's passionate with desire to get that goal, or someone who you just ask them to do it. Guess what? Guess who I want on my team, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's like such an obvious statement, but at the same time, it really does come down to something as simple as find your passion, find your why you want to do it, why it's important, and just go for it, right?
Yeah. And it's hard. Listen, I mean, there's days when you're sitting there going, oh, I gave up huge jobs, and you have struggle when that pipeline's not there. It's easy to say, oh man, but you love what you do, and I get to the benefits of what I do. So that's what it is, and that's what the passion is for me. I get to help people all day long, and it's just fantastic.
Cool. So. Last thing is my tagline. You'll see it in my emails. I say it at the beginning and end of the show quite a bit. Be great and be grateful. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to do anything, right, whether it's a janitor or a CEO at a company, be great at it, right? If you're there and whether you believe in the universe or God and that you have an opportunity, don't just drag it through. Actually do it at the highest level you can. So that's what I mean when I say be great. And then I say be grateful, which I truly do believe every day we need to reflect. We need to stop and think about those things we're grateful for. So what are a couple things? Let's name 3 things that Tony is grateful for that you just want to share with the world.
I'll tell you. So, what am I grateful for? Well, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my health. Those are two things. And I know you know this about me, but my family is my strength. It's everything for me.
Mhm.
I've got to feel very blessed about that.
Mhm.
My health, I have it, right. My family has it, but my mother didn't.
Mhm.
And I saw, and I know you're very passionate and you're into, the benefits with leukemia, and she passed away of leukemia, and I saw the decline in her health, and that was really painful for me.
Mhm.
So thank you for doing what you do there, and because I know that's fantastic.
Mhm.
Um, and so those would be my two, and then you know I think those are the two most important to me. I mean, if you're going to say two, I would say it's really family and this
Family and health.
and health, because I think health is everything, right? Because I've seen it happen, and that really hurts. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean, yeah, because then it's like you're without health, or at least somewhat close to a clean bill of health. You're working with a not a full deck.
And
Sometimes.
it's not that, it's the emotional that comes around it.
Sure.
It's not always about my health. It's the health of my family or my friends around me. When they're
Yeah.
suffering,
Mm.
that's the hardest thing, because that's not something I can, not something I can stop. Right.
Yeah,
And
it's a hard place to feel like you want to do something, and physically, there's times you can't if the
yeah.
medicines aren't out there too. So I'm going to actually, at the end of the show, I always do like a wrap up outro, and I'm going to talk about LLS and how I'm involved with that. So anybody who's listening can get the information. They can learn how they can become one of Mike's warriors on my LLS team. So that information's coming here. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's Western New York Sales Solutions. That's WNY Sales Solutions.com. That's where you can check out Tony. And then also on LinkedIn, right? They can search Tony
Absolutely.
Watson, WATSON, and anything else you wanted to share at the end here.
Well, you know what? Thanks for having me, Mike. This is great. I love to go out there and talk about sales and leadership, which is so important today. So, and I think that leadership across uh, Western New York's sales leadership in particular,
Mhm.
is something that is so important, and understanding it, and so making sure that you're making sure that you're bettering yourself every day, right? So that's one of the things that I would leave everyone for, is make sure that every week, every day, every month, you're trying to better yourself, because that's so important. Make sure that you're a better person next year than you are today.
Yeah. Yeah. Take those daily steps in the right direction. Thank you so much for being here. And I really appreciate you as a friend and a mentor to me in business. I'll tell you guys, I could text Tony, and he's not always available, right? But he'll still at least give me something to work with, a quick text back, something to think about, to do, and he's willing to hop on a call. So you're a great friend, great person, and we're honored to have you here right in Western New York. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Hey guys, thank you to everyone for tuning in, especially those who listen all the way to the end to hear this message. Seriously, I appreciate you, and I know my guests do as well. I expected Tony to deliver today, and he kept his promise. So much value. Being that sales is my area of strength, I genuinely enjoy helping people find a solution based on their needs. More of a consultative approach opposed to transactional selling. And Tony is a great mentor to me to help me continue to sharpen my skills. I wanted to also acknowledge all this madness going on right now surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, also known as coronavirus. Days ago, I was joking about this, thinking it would blow over, and boy, was I wrong. In the last 24 hours to 48 hours, things have really gotten serious here in the States. And my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone to find peace and not let fear overtake your comfort. Mentally, physically, and spiritually, do not let fear take over your comfort. Be smart. Tune in to the recommended procedures in your town. Look, I'm telling you, still think for yourself, but do not be ignorant. The best way to get through this is to stop it from continuing to spread and go viral. We can do that if we limit the opportunities. So my thoughts go out to everyone. This impacts everyone. Yes, remember that. If you're younger and you have a great chance of not getting sick because you think, look, I have a great immune system, so this isn't a fatal situation for me. Look, this isn't about you. It's about the person who can bring it home that maybe passes it on to their parents or their grandparents
that is now susceptible to a serious situation, including death, because you wanted to go out for a drink on St. Patrick's Day. It's not worth it, guys. Look, I'm all about having fun, but look, I like to be social. I like to go and have a drink as well, but you got to be smart right now. I wanted to get that out there. I had to get that off my chest. Let's stay together during this hard time and use it as a time to love our families and our neighbors, to be strong and persevere. I appreciate your reviews and messages coming in on social media. Keep them coming. You guys can check out more show notes and information on each episode at mikeduppodcast.com, MIKED uppodcast.com. We're powered by Social Chameleon. You know what to do. Be great and be grateful.